All right, so what's good, y'all? This is gonna be a good video because we have a lot of people present here. So yeah, why don't you introduce yourself though? We got a important YouTuber here, so
Yo, what's up, everybody? I go by the YouTube channel Eden's Blue right now. Mostly just talk about One Piece on my channel, but recently I had to put my boy CA on this new series called Tokyo Revengers. New in the sense of an anime at least, and he wants to talk about it right now because that's all that's on his mind.
yeah, nah. Obviously, first things first. If you're not, I don't know which channel this is gonna be on, but if you're on my channel, check out Eden's Blue because he drops One Piece content, like he said, and just good content overall. And obviously, check him out because he made this whole thing possible because he was in all the streams and the videos he was saying check out Tokyo Revengers, and
Hey,
it was
man.
worth checking out for sure. So I guess since I'm the newbie in terms of the video or in terms of Tokyo Revengers, so I'll give my initial thoughts. So like my initial thoughts during the series was like what the I don't know if you cursed on your channel, but yeah, it was like just what the F. Like I was just confused because so yeah, if you're watching this video, you probably know what like Tokyo Revengers is about. And I feel like should we talk about like the beginning or should we talk about what's happened recently? Because I think recently is really crazy.
Recently in terms of what, like the anime or the manga?
Oh, we're talking manga. The anime is cool. I love the anime, but the manga is like I feel like the manga is everything.
For the people who haven't hopped on it yet, we might want to just quickly go over the beginning, just
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
like how it starts off, and then like then jump into what's happening with it right now.
Okay. Do you want to go over that? Because I've tried to explain Tokyo Revengers to people, and I've sound crazy. So I think you might be, or like you want to see if you're better at going over it, or
Yeah, nah, I could give it a try. All right, so Tokyo Revengers, basically it starts off with our main character named Takemichi. At the start of the series, he's about a 26-year-old, works like a dead-end job at I believe like a video store that sells like movies and stuff like that. And basically he talks about how how he's just a bum, his life was a waste, he's nothing but a loser. And then one day he's watching the news and it's reported that a girl by the name of Hina for short, was along with her brother were killed in the news in some kind of incident involving Japan's like top gang known as the Tokyo Manji Gang.
yeah.
And the important thing about this girl Hina is that she was Takemichi's girlfriend in the past 12 years ago. Basically, he ends up like reflecting on like where his life went wrong and how he ended up where he did. And in this reflection, he's at a subway station, and without really paying attention, he gets pushed onto these train tracks, and then right before this subway train thing comes and hits him, he wakes up and he's 12 years in the past, at the point in time where everything in his life had began to go downwards. Without going too heavy into spoilers, for the beginning at least, he makes it a mission to save her, and that's where the story goes from there. And it's just like I said, man, it's an amazing story.
Obviously, so you haven't seen Tokyo Revengers because we're obviously gonna go heavy into the spoilers. So that's your spoiler warning for the people that are watching or checking out Tokyo Revengers. From that point on, it's just he's going back in the past multiple times to save Hinata and to save Hinata and pretty much the friends he meets along the way, right? So he tries to save Draken, he tries to save Emma, which and so Mikey, he's trying to save a lot of people, and
No, I was about to say, so like with all that, basically how that is that it starts off with him trying to save his old girlfriend, and in the midst of all that, it requires him having to meet the boss of the Tokyo Manji Gang, and once he finally like gets in contact with the boss and sees that he's not this horrible person that he's portrayed to be in the future, he ends up trying to figure out like what happened, what went wrong for this guy to become this horrible person that he keeps hearing about, that he becomes. And then that's when he starts meeting these other characters throughout the story who aren't alive in the future because of something happened with them and that having effect on said boss. And instead of just saving his girlfriend, it ends up becoming other people who he has to also protect, events that he has to stop from happening in order to stop his present from becoming what it did.
I feel like talking about new gen or talking about like anime in general, this is probably one of the most captivating anime I honestly have ever seen.
Oh,
like,
yes,
absolutely. I finished it in 2 days. Like I literally finished it in 2 days. I watched it with my brother. We started like episode 1. We got to episode 10. We were like, all right, we're going to the manga. We went to the manga, and it took me like I don't even want to say 2 days because it was like from chapter 20 to chapter 210 or 209, I think it's at. It was like a day and a half, and I could not stop reading. So the very first time he goes back in the past, he meets Hinata's little brother, right, which is Do you remember? So the thing with Tokyo Revengers is I don't remember a lot of the names. Like I know certain people's names, like Mikey and Draken, but like certain people I don't know. Like I don't even remember Hinata's little brother's name.
Naoto.
Oh, Naoto, yeah. So
Yeah,
like
Naoto.
his first trip to the past, he's able to save Naoto, and him and Naoto basically become partners in crime, saving Hinata. And like it's every time he comes back into the present, Naoto is able to give him clues for what is a potential lead to fixing the future. And every time he goes back and he he's trying to figure it out. We interact with the main villain very early on, I feel like, in terms of like the series, which is Kisake. I think when the series is, we're in the last arc, but I feel like even if the main enemy is not Kisake in like this arc, I think Kisake is still like the main enemy of the series, just because of everything he's done and stuff. But like,
he's definitely okay. So where the story is, Kisaki, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I haven't seen the anime for a long time in the manga. Yes, he is basically the central antagonist for Takemichi. Of course, like we'll talk. I guess we'll talk about it in a little bit, but that obviously shifts to something else entirely. But for a long time, he is the main antagonist. There are several antagonists in the series as well, but the one pulling the strings most of the time is Kisaki.
So like. Okay, I feel like there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to go because like I guess it'd be better for us to just go off of like our current topics, right, or the current events of the series, if that makes sense. All right, so I have this crazy theory with Tokyo Revengers. I think that the time leaper is Mikey, and the reason I think the time because remember, so we're assuming that if you're watching this video at this point, you know Tokyo Revengers, so we don't have to like
spoilers for those who aren't like I guess caught up to the story at this point.
Yeah. So like, so we know that there's a second time. We can assume that there's a second time leaper because it seems like every time Takemichi goes back, something bad always happens. Even like to a certain degree. Like for the most part, it was Kisake or Kiski. Yeah, Kisake. I'm just gonna say Kisake. Like Kisake.
Go ahead.
But this latest time, he went back in the past, and everyone has been saved except for Mikey. Mikey's still evil, and like to me that was like kind of crazy. I'm like, how is Mikey still evil? Like. Because he disbanded the gang, it's like it should be all over. But like the whole thing with Mikey, right? We see when they had the time capsule, Mikey basically tells him, "Don't go in the future. Myself and my present self, 12 years in the future is not like a good guy. You should go. Don't meet him. Don't try to help me." And obviously that's like, so I had a couple questions with that, like because he basically says. I mean, it's like he knows he knows how his self is in the future, if that makes sense. Because he's telling him not to meet him and stuff. And Draken and other people have confirmed that he's not the same guy, which is okay. But we know that the time leaper isn't Kisake because the future's still pretty bad, right? Kisake died.
And he confirmed before what happened, he confirmed himself that it wasn't him. Or at least it was strongly implied that it wasn't him.
Like Kisake is a liar. He's lied before.
He's lied to get what he wants, but in that moment in the story, it was pretty much he had no reason to because his back was against the wall and he lost everything that he had gained.
Yeah,
facts. So, but we knew at that point in time like he wasn't the guy.
Yeah. But like, what's crazy to me about that is like right after that, he gets hit by a bus or by a train or whatever. Not train, by like a bus. Which automatically is kind of sus when you think about it. And then something that makes like the Mikey thing very interesting is that Mikey, I don't know if he said it in the present or if he said it 12 years ago. He basically said that he knows he's slowly becoming not himself. Like he has these flashes in which he doesn't remember things, and he does things that he normally wouldn't do. Like for instance, in one of the potential futures when he tried to kill I don't even know his name. When he tried to kill the guy who killed his older brother. The fact that his memory blanks, that's super weird to me, considering I think there is a time looper somewhere, and I think he's candidate number 1 or the first suspect, because that whole like your memory not being there, I think that's something that Takemichi goes through, because from what we understand, the people around him, like Takemichi, they've realized when he's gone back to the past. Like everyone has noted it. I think Hinata's noted it, Draken might have noted it, Mikey noted it. So like it's obvious that he's not himself. Like for instance, whenever Takemichi comes back to the present, he has to ask people around him for information about what's happened in the last 12 years because he doesn't know that stuff. So it would make sense if future Mikey kind of like swaps out. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that though?
All right. So before the events of, I believe it, the end of chapter like 207 or 208, when we saw Mikey at the very end,
Yeah.
And he looked at his hand and knew that Takemichi from the future came back to the present.
Yeah.
I mean, came back to the past.
Yeah.
Then I was on the boat of, okay, it really might be Mikey.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I was of the opinion that it was Hanma. Hanma, if you don't remember, is the guy who was always with Kisaki, the one who was riding the motorcycle when him and Kisaki were escaping at the end of the Tenjiku arc. I was of the opinion that it was him for the longest time, just because he was always around. There was one more chapter that kind of made that opinion stronger for me. Now I just really have no idea. It's up in the air. And now it could be Mikey with the way the story's implying. But the part about Mikey blacking out,
yeah,
you could be right. Maybe that is a part of the whole like time travel thing.
Yeah.
But from how I interpreted that was, it was just saying like Mikey has the dark side, especially due to like all the suffering that he's gone through in his life.
Yeah.
Everybody who kept his sanity, he started losing all of them one by one. You know, Draken is also one of those people who we saw earlier in the story was reported to be dead in the future. Takemichi went back and changed things, obviously, but you know he's losing all these people who are really close to him, and pretty much where the story is right now, the only people who are left in that boat is Draken and Takemichi himself, because at one point in the story he told Takemichi, and Takemichi like always remembers this, when Mikey tells him that if he ever isn't himself, it's like he's counting on Takemichi to like put him in his place, to like remind him.
Yeah.
So like I said, you could be right. You could be onto something with there. I just always took it as he's just a person who when he hits that certain like point of like rage and frustration, he just blacks out.
Yeah.
And just like lets his fist do the talking.
That's true. And I actually forgot about that when he looked at his hand, it was like Takemichi's here. That's a very tough. So who's your favorite character? That's an easy one. People always ask. So what is your favorite?
Draken.
Draken.
I don't have to think about that.
You got to explain that. You got to explain that because Draken is cold though, but you got to explain that.
So off rip, appearance based, he already won me over. I love his design with the way he has the hair braided, the dragon tattoo on the side of his head,
yeah,
the kimono cardigan that he like wears everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Like design wise, he's my favorite design wise.
Yeah, he is cool.
But what immediately had him become my favorite character at the start of the story was that scene in the hospital.
Yeah,
when they came to the hospital, heard that a rival gang had harmed somebody close to one of their friends.
Yeah,
and in that moment, the girl's parents are kind of like,
oh yeah,
criticizing Draken and Mikey, saying like, get out of here. Their daughter suffered because she knows people who are like involved with them. And in Mikey's head at that time, he was of the opinion like, why are you blaming us? We had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
And you know, like ready to talk back to the people, but in that moment, Draken had bowed down as an apology, forced Mikey to bow down, and then he gave that speech to Mikey about, we don't want these kind of people getting involved in our lives. Like, we don't want to bring them into this life and get them involved with what we do. And the line about him telling Mikey that, I can't remember it word for word, but essentially he told Mikey, have a heart. Just remember, like, these people are suffering as a chain effect because of what we do. And you know, in that moment, Mikey had thanked Draken and said he's glad to have him around because Draken is there to kind of like pull him in and like put him in check, let him know when he's out of line, and you know, like on some like mentor stuff, like some big brother stuff. And
yeah,
like, in that moment, like he instantly became my favorite character. There's like a whole cast of great characters. Like you can pick almost anybody in this series as your favorite character, but for me, that's Draken.
Now, Draken is definitely like Draken's my top 3 for sure. Like I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I'm going Mikey or if I'm going Takemichi, because I feel like they're two different sides, right? So Mikey, I guess I can go first. First of all, Mikey's the best fighter in the verse so far. I don't think there's anyone who's close. Yeah. I think Draken's close. But I think that Mikey, I don't know if we saw that in the flashback, but I think it's pretty much established that Mikey's above Draken.
He's called the Invincible Mikey because like, you know, he's never lost. Not saying Draken has, but Mikey is above pretty much from what we've seen above in the entire main cast, because like he grew up like learning to fight. He grew up in a dojo.
Yeah. So Mikey's just literally, he's the definition of being built different. Like no one can hang with him. Absolutely. He has a crazy backstory, which is really sad. The fact that his older brother, he had the whole birthday party, right? Which was, he wanted that bike. His older brother was going to get him the bike. Yeah. And 2 of his friends tried to rob the bike before it happened. And then
they knew how much Mikey like saw this bike and wanted it.
Yeah.
And his 2 friends were going to steal the bike to give to Mikey as a birthday gift, unaware of the fact that the bike shop they were robbing from was owned by Mikey's brother.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all that, they one of the friends ends up killing Mikey's brother in like a panic mode because they had no idea what was going on. and they ended up finding out like a little bit later that the bike was already going to be given to Mikey as a gift.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, you know, a lot of like unfortunate circumstances occurred.
It's like it's insane. And then what I think I peeped, well, this is like around, I'll talk about this a little bit right later, but Takemichi is my second favorite, if not my favorite, because Takemichi is the coldest character, that's like the coldest non-chop, like weak character I've ever seen in anime. Like he's so weak, but like he's hype.
With Takemichi, it's not his strength that makes him a good character. It's his perseverance and his like resolve, which is what makes him like a really good character. Because like, you know, if you're coming into the story to watch Takemichi like whoop somebody's butt, like I'm afraid you're gonna be like sorely disappointed.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen, bro.
Yeah, like, you know, out of like one instance in the story, I don't want to put too many spoilers in because some of the best moments, but you're not like one of the best moments in the story for Takemichi. But like I said, you know, a lot of it comes from like his resolve, like that never giving up thing. And that's also what like has Mikey take interest in him in the very beginning of the story, is because of that resolve that Takemichi has, even like knowing he's in a situation that he has no chance of winning.
Yeah. Like I feel like with Takemichi, again, a lot of this is because he went to the future. He knows about the future and how bad it is, and he spent his original life just running away from things. And he thinks that he can't, whatever situation he's in, he can't run away because he knows what happens if he runs away from everything. Yeah, and it just gives him he's like, I dare say he's like, I always try to give comparisons to like popular anime because I feel like it makes things easier. But I feel like he's like almost part one Naruto without any skill. Because part one Naruto, he kind of had skill to a degree. Like he had shackles, wrestling, all that stuff. I'd say he had like
okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, like imagine like part one Naruto's type of like determination with nothing to back it up. Even in all the big brawls, he's getting dropped off by randos, and he has to get saved by the connections he made, like Mikey or Draken.
Characters who Mikey comes to know are usually the ones that really come to help him out and save him in these tight spots. You know, he'll provide support for them.
Yeah.
But you're pretty much spot on.
I was gonna say one thing that I peeped that I think is in every timeline is Draken is in death row in every timeline for the most part, and we didn't peep why. Remember in the first timeline when Kisaki like tapped Draken on the shoulder and he's like, "Good job," and Draken has the knife and it's bleeding? That's because I think Draken's killing Emma's killer in all the timelines. I think Emma was always the person that's like holding Mikey still, because like we saw how like crazy he felt when Emma died, and we know how much Draken cared about Emma, and Draken literally said he doesn't regret like killing the person that, you know, the person it is. And thinking about it now, that's the only person that that's the only motivation Draken would have to kill. Like Draken clearly killed the killer in my opinion.
So I have to go back and like reread some stuff.
Yeah.
But because it's a bit confusing. So like I said, that part that's like the one part of the story that's still a little confusing.
The early stuff.
Because the part about Draken killing somebody and Kisaki saying good job. It's confusing to me because Draken knows it was Kisaki who did who was responsible for Emma being killed. Because
in that timeline,
pretty much it's pretty much every timeline. But like when Takemichi goes back and it has that first conversation with Draken in prison. Draken says that if he can go back and change one thing, he would have killed Kisaki, meaning that like Kisaki did some prior to the knowledge we learned later on, Kisaki did some heinous stuff that Draken wanted him dead for it. Because whatever Draken did in that room when he killed somebody, like that's what got him put in the prison.
Yeah.
But so like I said, that part's a little confusing. I don't know if he just got the wrong guy and Kisaki got him arrested or what.
Yeah.
But pretty much like it starts off with Draken originally being dead. Takemichi saves him, but this time he's in prison. And that's pretty much how it is up until like
the last one,
like later in the story.
So what I always figured was I think in the past, before the last jump that, you know, fixed everything for the most part, I'm pretty sure Kisaki said he had like a double. Like I thought that was the whole thing, where Draken killed who he thought was Emma's killer, and then Kisaki saying good job, and then revealing that like I'm the guy who killed him type thing. But I mean, that is kind of up in the air. But Tokyo Revengers, I guess just talking about overall like that, talking about like cliffhangers and twists and turns, I think that Tokyo Revengers is top tier. Like it's literally.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's so it's amazing, bro.
Nah, bro. Like I said, like if you're like I said, it's all on preference. It's a very down to earth story. in terms of like the typical stuff that you're used to seeing in like manga and anime with like the big supernatural powers and all this other stuff. Like it's a very down to earth story, and one of the things I think that makes it so relatable, because it's like, you know, of course it has its moments here and here, like rarely here and there with like some exaggerated stuff going on.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, it's very down to earth, very realistic.
No, there's no power ups. I was surprised by that. Like that, we didn't even touch about that. Like there's no. It's just boxing.
Yeah, very down to earth. Yeah. It's a delinquent manga. Like the real stuff about it that makes it so great is the characters. It is a very character driven story. Like, you know, versus something like a Naruto, My Hero, Black Clover, where it's like, you know, not saying those don't have great characters, of course, but it's like one of the key things in those two is like these power ups that we're so used to seeing characters get with their like progression and strength throughout the story. Whereas like we said in this one, the main character Takemichi, his whole character isn't about his strength per se, but like about his resolve, his perseverance, like that, like him just never backing down, because if he backs down, he knows what that will lead to.
It's good. And a question that I feel like, I mean, you've seen the streams and the subs and stuff, and know how my fan base tends to be or whatever. They're very anti Naruto. We're not going. The thing is, it's funny.
Hey, look. I just have to stress right now, man. Like if you don't like Naruto, that's fine. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you don't like Naruto, that's fine. I'm not forcing anybody to like something that they just not feeling.
Yeah, but they're very anti Naruto, and a question that has come up is like, where does Tokyo Revengers rank among like I guess Naruto? I would say an all-time grade. So where do you think Tokyo Revengers ranks on the all-time grades? Because people think it's better than Naruto, and it's like it's such a different series, so it's hard to rank with that kind of stuff.
So yes, it is such a different series, but I'm not mad at people, anybody who thinks it's better than Naruto. I personally, I might have at this point where the story is. I might have it above Naruto. Real talk. Like, there's nothing about the story that has dropped in quality. The story is a straight like 10 out of 10 at the pace it's going right now. Like, if the author lands the plane good enough, like it's gonna be like one of the best story mangas, best animes. If the anime keeps continuing to adapt it as well as it is, like ever to come into existence.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I was saying no initially, but then I had to think about it. I'm like, Tokyo Revengers is really, like, I don't know what a critique would be. Like, what's a valid Tokyo Revengers critique, just like, honestly speaking?
What you mean, like, in terms of comparison?
Nah, just like quality. Like, what would, if you were say, like, if someone said Tokyo Revengers is the most perfect anime ever, like, what would your retort to that be? Like, is there anything Tokyo Revengers doesn't, like, you know what I'm saying?
Like that it doesn't do well?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like
there's nothing that it does bad. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend this so strongly to people if I felt like there was just something really awful about it. Like, it does everything so well. It has great themes. This is one of the selling points I always tell to people. No character feels like they're being wasted. Not one character feels like they're being wasted. There might be some characters, of course, on the antagonist side who come in like posed to be like the opposition, but they're just meant to be antagonists. Not every antagonist has to be like this overly complex character. Exactly. Like, as long as they serve the role of antagonist well, then they did their job. That's fine. But it's like the main core cast, who Takemichi surrounds himself with, they're like all like just very well written, so many good characters who you wouldn't expect to be as deep as originally intended to be. Like man,
Baji is one I think that's really.
Baji is really good. Somebody who, like, for a large portion of the early story, just kind of there in the background, and then once it's his time to get the screen time, like for like that one arc, the author just does it so well that Baji ends up instantly becoming like in who I talk to, some people have him as their favorite, in their top 3, their top 5, top 10 easily. And like, that's the character whose main thing was like pretty much in just like one arc. That's just how great the author is at writing these characters, because he takes their time. Like, in the beginning, you have Mikey and Draken with Takemichi, and then as the story progresses, like, he might put a focus on another character like Baji. Then maybe we'll go to Hakkai, Chifuyu, Mitsuya. So, like, just so many good characters, man. Like, not one feels wasted. Like, you're just happy to see them all.
Like, that is something that I think Tokyo Revengers, I don't even know if another anime does it as good. Because, like, you did speak on, like, for instance, the thing is, I'm not great at, like, because some of the names I feel like are pretty hard to peep. And, like, I think I only get some of the names that are, like, we just are always fed into our face, like Draken and Mikey and, like, the easy ones.
Yeah,
but
Bezu.
someone that I think is really I like what they did was he's the 10th generation Black Dragon leader.
Talk about the older brother of Hakkai.
Yes, the older brother of Hakkai. Like he's someone who was an antagonist in the part of the arc, and then when we go into the future, in the bad future, he's like, I wouldn't say he's a protagonist, but he definitely gives us a lot of information. He explained, like, that's when another twist happens, when we find out that Mikey's older brother created the Black Dragons. That was a big twist.
Yeah. Like that was one of the biggest, like,
that.
What the, like, and if you ever, I don't know if you had a chance to go back and reread yet, but if you go back and reread, like that was already foreshadowed. Not saying like the name of the game itself, but there's some kind of foreshadowing there.
It's gonna get a reread for sure. Like, you know how I have to watch a lot of anime and manga. There's some other anime I have to get to, but like Tokyo Revengers, I think is, I like JJK a lot. Like I think JJK is like the best new gen, but if someone says Tokyo Revengers is the best new gen, I'm not mad at that at all. Like I think
that's not a bad take at all. Like
yeah,
like I said, it depends on what you want in your story. Tokyo Revengers does have like the meathead action and stuff, but like I said, it's very down to earth. It's more realistic versus like the big battle shonen. So like JJK, if you want to see like these big crazy battles going on with these superpowers and stuff like that, if that's like what you look for in a story, then of course you're gonna pick JJK. JJK has great characters and stuff, but like one of its main things is like the whole supernatural thing with battle shonen. Whereas Tokyo Revengers, its thing is more so heavily focused on its characters. It'll give you that stuff, a little bit of that, like that meathead action here and there when like the big gang fights go down and stuff. You're excited for that, for like the action because of the characters who are involved in it.
Exactly.
The plot points that occur, just like how it all wraps up, and it just all done so well, man. It just all done so well. Like
I don't know.
It's just a great series.
I don't know what we're gonna tell this video or whatever, but like,
man, just talking about Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah, just talk about because I did want to make a series on like new gens and why I think that they're the GOAT, and I think Tokyo Revengers deserves a freaking like mention or something, or a video. But this is just gonna be this is a basic just overall thought process on Tokyo Revengers. I think that because you just can't recommend it enough, honestly. So I guess any like any like ending thoughts like about Tokyo Revengers or anything in general type thing.
Man, watch it. If you want to get into the anime first, go ahead and get through the anime. It catches your interest at about chapter 8, and then by the time you get to like that chapter 30 to 33 range, for me personally, I was of the mindset like, okay, no, this is definitely at the pace it's going. It's like about to be one of those all-time greats. Yeah, and it just every arc, it feels like it just improves on the last. Like you might not have like an arc that follows as your favorite, but the story is always improving in some type of way. Exactly.
So as for me, I watched it through the anime. Like I tried to read the manga. I was like, let me just watch the anime first. So I watched the first 10 episodes. Then I went to the manga, which was like chapter 20. I feel like I watched the first 3 episodes and I was like, this is really good. Yeah. We had the time travel aspect already. Naoto, we saw him. Mikey, I was like, Mikey, Dragon, these guys were just, they're icy. So I was like, this is it. That's like, I think that's how much it took for me, but
I'll say this too, because one of the biggest turnoffs for people is when you bring up time travel. This is the one story that I think handles time. Well, not saying like there aren't others, but like for the time travel in this one, it's perfectly. This is probably like the best story that time travel has ever been handled in.
And I think that the reason why it's so great is because they give us the strict rules and they never change it.
Yes, there are rules on this. Like there are checkpoints. Like I don't know if anyone in your fan base has ever watched ReZero or something like that, but like for anyone who has seen ReZero, there are like these moments where essentially the main character has like checkpoints where like he always kind of restarts from a certain point in the story.
Exactly.
And that's the case with this one, where it's like he restarts from, not restarts essentially, but like can only go back to a certain point in time.
Exactly.
Like there are very strict rules in place here. It's not like he can just go anywhere whenever he wants and just do whatever. Like the author did a very good job here with the time travel.
Yeah, like it isn't even until the last arc that we have a different time checkpoint, which is 10 years ago instead of 12. So like the fact that they were consistent with it was good. But Tokyo Revengers, you gotta read it, watch it.
Probably, now is the best time because to me it's about to, because I think JJK won anime last year of the year for 2020.
It better win if it doesn't win it.
I think it won Crunchyroll's 2020 of the year for JJK, but this year it's Tokyo Revengers. I don't think there's anything coming out this year that's gonna beat it.
like literally. But yeah, so Tokyo Revengers is just an A plus S plus series. So
I'm telling you, man. Hey, at the to me it's an S right now. Like it would have to drop very like do a very bad ending, like horrible ending in order to like drop from what it's doing right now.
Yeah. So like Tokyo Revengers, must watch, must read. But
GOAT characters, GOAT series, GOAT story, man. I'm telling y'all are missing out if you haven't started it yet.
But I think that's all for this video because it's kind of getting crazy long. We have to deal with the editing and stuff. But yeah. Thanks y'all. Thank all y'all obviously for watching. So I can only speak for myself, but I know that I'm gonna try to be putting out more Tokyo Revengers type content on my channel. Look forward to that. Edens Blue, is there anything you want to shout out, like any projects you're working on?
I'm just more so focused on like the little One Piece thing right now, just because that's what most of the people on my channel are interested in. Maybe I'll eventually make a second channel covering more series. Just depends. Like I'm still like working the kinks out right now.
I got you. So but thanks y'all. Thank you all for watching. Obviously.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, bro. So.